Today, we have two great CEOs coming. One is Prathamesh Veling, and another one is a surprise, which I'll tell you in some time. So we have two big CEOs of two big organizations who are going to give you a message about how you can become a CEO. Now, I'll ask you one question and then one request. Okay. The question is, do you want a job or you are here for a career? Quickly type me, J or C, job or career. What do you want after graduation? A job or a career? And if you choose career, that C will take you to the CEO. And today we're going to explain to you how we can shape your lives and support maybe little towards your career in next 90 minutes. Plus there are a couple of surprises in the end. There will be a small test as well in the end, which each one of you have to go if you want a certificate. So everyone is writing career. Because I'm sure that 156 of you, there are so many jobs in the market, मतलब 15-20 हजार तो सबको मिल ही जाएंगे. But as a graduate, or some of you are might planning for MBA, or some of you are saying that मुझे straight job करना है. Do you really want to work at 10-15,000 with no profile, or you really want to work for more package, better profile? You'll join soon, Parth. So, Gujarat, someone is writing, still writing. Okay, great. So one thing which I understood while I did my graduation and after graduation, when I did my MBA, I did an MBA in finance and I was good in stock market, derivatives and all. And then I worked with companies like 7 years. And when today, where we have tie-ups with more than 30-40 corporates, and when I ask them, do you need graduates? Do you need MBA graduates? They say yes. But when I ask them what skill sets or what do you think when you hire, they speak about only one thing, which I'm sure each 167 of you have that one common thing, and that is being sincere. To all the technicalities that how you can become from graduate to CEO, I will introduce today's first speaker and a very near and dear friend of mine who has done his engineering. So there were a lot of engineers on the chat who were messaging me, engineers. So today, the first speaker you're going to listen to is an engineer. Later on, he did his MBA in marketing. He's a very hungry person. So he went for more and he did his master's in psychology, master's in economics. Still he's more hungry and he wants dessert. So currently he's pursuing his PhD from Symbiosis, and within a couple of years, I have to call him doctor. So with round loud of applause, let's have some digital claps, guys, for the today's first speaker is Prathamesh Veling. So can we have digital claps or something on the chats? Oh yeah, thank you Sabia, thank you Shubham. All over to you Prathamesh. I will see you guys in next 15-20 minutes again, so stay tuned.
Thank you Vishal, thank you for a wonderful introduction, and this time I wouldn't say it was a warm introduction, I think it was a sizzling hot introduction. All right, thanks a lot guys, it has been amazing. People have come from different cities, I think 20 plus cities, and we are 174 at this point of time. And let me tell you, as co-founder of this institution, next 1 hour and 10 minutes will be brilliant of your life, because I'm going to talk for next 15-20 minutes and then we have someone more amazing, more brilliant, and stay tuned for what he's going to talk about because he's much more experienced as well. मैं CEO बना हूँ और उन्होंने CEOs बनाए हैं, and that's going to be the difference. So I am someone who has followed the path which we are going to share you today, and the person who has crafted the path, designed the path, curated the path, is going to talk today after me. So stay tuned. We have wonderful 2 sessions coming up, and towards the end you have an assessment test, and after assessment, once you give that assessment test, you are entitled and eligible for a certificate of participation for this session, which you can use on your resumes, on your LinkedIn profile, on your social medias and whatnot. The credibility of the institution is quite high, so even the participation certificate is going to count a lot on your resume, trust me that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here I go. Are you guys 100% ready for the session? Now let's understand, right? So we are talking about how to go from graduate to CEO. It's like going from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, or from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, or probably from Porbandar to Kolkata, or Sikkim and so on. It's a long journey. It's a long journey. If you are here for a shortcut saying that, sir, मुझे बता दो कि मैं 1 हफ्ते में CEO कैसे बन जाऊंगा, 5 हफ्ते में CEO कैसे बन जाऊंगा, 4 महीने में CEO कैसे बन जाऊंगा, this session is not for you, ladies and gentlemen, because this session has a tried, tested, proven strategy, 7-step tried, tested and proven strategy that will take you from graduate to CEO. And not only hypothetically, people who have followed that path and have become CEO, और उनके mentor जो है वो आज आपको guide करने वाले हैं. So stay tuned for that. Let's go ahead. All right. So everyone has this one question in their minds at this point of time. See, I'm a psychologist. I'm a psychologist by choice, right? So engineer, MBA, MA psychology, MA economics, quite diverse. But I can tell 100%, 100% guaranteed that this is the confusion right now in your head. That is, what next? What next? How many of you have this confusion? So there are 4 dimensions. I assume that all of you are graduate here. Either you are pursuing graduation, you have just finished the graduation. You have 4 significant options in front of you. If you want, you can write down. If you want a screenshot, you can take a screenshot. Or recording nahi milne wala. So you can just go ahead and do that. So the number 1 option, the most brilliant option technically, is doing a job after graduation. Right? Option number 1, dimension number 1 of what to do next, how to progress in the career, is the job. So if you have asked your parents, they must have done a graduation and probably picked up a job immediately. But unfortunately, your generation, my generation, and all of us, we have not been trained on any of the skill set in our graduation so that corporates can hire us. So we are graduates, but we are unemployable graduates, thanks to the Indian education system. I know I've been very harsh on it, but that's the reality. Ask yourself, by the way, कौन से skills है जो आपको सिखाया गया graduation में so that corporates are ready to hire you? Just think over it. None. Absolute none. और बेसिक एडवांस एक्सेल का कोर्स भी आपको बाहर के इंस्टीट्यूशन से करना पड़ता है, कॉलेज नहीं सिखाता. That is the worst part of Indian education system today, but that's fine. So if you want to go for directly go for a job after the graduation, congratulations. But for most of people, it's not going to work. And our CEO will focus more on that as well. The next speaker. The second option you have, ladies and gentlemen, is go ahead and do a higher technical education. Right? So if you are a commerce graduate, do MCOM. If you are an engineer, then do probably ME or MTech. If you are an MS, a BCA guy, then do MCA. MSc, BSc IT किया है तो MSc IT कर लो, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह. You can also pursue some private certifications, so on and so forth. So that is a higher technical education you can go for. Now I would like to ask something to people who are sitting in front of me. Please tell me. How many of you, over the period of time, right, probably 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, 12 years down the line, have a dream to become an entrepreneur or a businessman? Type E in the chat window. Congratulations, guys, because I was exactly the same, right? High on energy, less on marks, high on attitude, less on confidence, but had a very strong dream of pursuing entrepreneurship one day. And that day came into my life 5 years before when we started our entrepreneurship journey together with Magic Institute of Excellence under the guidance of the second speaker today, which you will see, right? So if you have a slightest dream of becoming an entrepreneur, slightest dream of starting your own business, the left-hand side technical education is not going to help you in that. It's not. Because कोई भी business run करने के लिए बिजनेस को समझना जरूरी होता है. That is called as business acumen, and that's get developed by option number 3. That is probably going for higher management education, right? So what happens in a management education? You go for MBA, you go for PGDM, you go for MMS, and so on and so forth, whichever state you're from. What happens here is you get a holistic understanding of the business, like how a business is run, how a Swiggy is operated. Have you ever realized what you can do once is how many of you order from Swiggy's and Zomato's? Just type S or G in the chat window. How many of you regularly order from Swiggy's and Zomato? Yeah. This guy is a part of the business, but you ask him someday, do you know how Swiggy's business work? So कोई idea नहीं रहेगी. क्यों? Because he is just one part of the business. But on the right hand side, when you go for higher management education, you understand the various aspects of it. How the finance of the industry work, how the investments are carried on, how do you go and pitch to the investors and get the monies, etc., etc. Then how do you launch a product into the market? How do you market the product? How do you sell the product? How do you brand the product? All those come into marketing. Operation talk about optimizing the processes, applying the Six Sigma to the every process to try and get optimized result. Much more. Supply chain, logistics, etc. HR, human resource, training and development, payrolls, etc. All of these, right? So what you cannot learn at any given point of time in a technical education, you learn in the management education. So that is option number 3 for you guys, ladies and gentlemen. Number 1, direct job. Impossible. अच्छा जॉब नहीं मिलेगा, 7-8 हजार 9 हजार 10 हजार की नौकरी मिल जाएगी, right? But ultimately you will have a upper cap and you will not be able to move ahead after a certain point of time. A lot of engineers fall into this trap, let me tell you, because Infosys and TCS comes and hire you and you feel ki I have got a brilliant package and now I'm going to work for it. Trust me guys, write it down. I can write it in blood and give it to you. Next 12 to 18 months will be bored because you are just part of the process. You are just 1 year into the engine. And after a certain point of time, your opinions are not going to matter at all. And that is where you're going to feel sad. I did my engineering. I did job for 1 year because I got 3 placements, right? And then immediately, मुझे realize हो गया 6-8 महीने में that if I continue to be a good engineer, I can never become a CEO of the company. So you will have to एक battle आपको छोड़ना पड़ेगा दूसरे battle pick up करने के लिए. You will have to end one journey to start the new journey. I ended the journey in span of a year and started my management journey. I did my MBA in year 2010, and let me tell you, MBA was golden period of my life. And the last option you have, चलो direct job नहीं मिल नहीं सकता, higher education करना नहीं है, higher management education, probably you are confused. Then the last option you have is do some private certification for skill building. Ladies and gentlemen, corporates want skills. They don't need your degree. They don't need your attitude. They don't need anything. They don't need your marks. This is a false perception. They only need skills. क्या तुम काम कर सकते हो? क्या तुम्हें एक्सेल आता है? क्या तुम्हें प्रेजेंटेशन आता है? क्या तुम्हें पीपीटी आती है? क्या तुम लोगों से बात कर सकते हो? एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. They want skills. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, the worst part of the Indian education system is in the graduation, none of the skills are taught. They say that they are teaching the skills, but they just transfer the knowledge, what is there in the books, in your head through the professors. That's all is what graduation is all about. Sorry अगर मेरी बात किसी को बुरी लग गई हो, but this is the harsh, brutal fact of Indian damn it education system. Professor पहले दिन बुक पढ़ के आता है, दूसरे दिन पीपीटी बना के आपको सिखाता है, बस. So the knowledge is transferred, that's all. They don't teach you for results, they teach you for knowledge. And that is why people are suffering. That is why people are confused. Imagine, ladies and gentlemen, before I go to the next slide, I would like to ask you just one question. You have spent, an average Indian graduate spends about 12.5 lakh rupees till his graduation. Right from your nursery, KG, standard 1, standard 10, so on and so forth. They only go for actually 12.5 lakh is the overall expenses. Proven statistics है, Google करके देख लो. After spending 12.5 lakh rupees on an average, some people would have been spending more than that. After spending 20 years in the education system, ladies and gentlemen, don't you think that confusion shouldn't be there? We are still confused what to do with our life, what to do with our career, what to do with our job. Why? Have you ever asked this question to anyone? Think about it. So the last option, if you still don't want to go for higher studies and go for a private certification, you can probably do some skill building course. Something like digital marketing, business analytics, data science, investment banking, vagera, vagera. There are tons of things into the market which you can do and probably try your luck. Probably. Right? But MBA, to my mind, is one of the best options to go for. As soon as we complete our higher education, that's a better option. right? So next speaker will throw some more light onto it, and I'm going to give you a graph, right, to help you understand what is your mindset today, because depending upon your mindset, that will decide how fast you will become CEO. I will pray to the God that all 185 students sitting in front of me today, 186, 187, 188 students sitting in front of me today will become CEO probably 10, 15, 20 years down the line. I pray to the God. I wish that could happen. But that will happen depending upon what is your mindset today. Do you have a fixed mindset or do you have a growth mindset? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, a very simple graph. Try and understand it. Right? I'm an engineer. Graph के वजह मुझे मजा नहीं आता है. Okay. So we have timeline axis where you can see 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years on the vertical axis. And on the horizontal axis, you can see, I've just given an indicative figure, 30,000, 60,000, 90,000, 1.2 lakhs, and so on and so forth. Right? Now, what happens, right? If you go for a job directly at this point of time, your graph will look something like this. Right? If you're an engineer, your starting salary will be somewhere around 15 to 25K. If you're a graduate, your starting salary will be somewhere around 8 to 12,000. That's all for an average job, right? Some 10% here and there. If people are working, don't feel bad about it. If your salary is much more than what I've quoted, I would be more than happy, right? But 99% of time, people are going to follow this kind of a bracket. So if you go for a direct job, this is how your graph will look like, right? So look at the time interval it's going to take for you to reach about a 75,000 to 1 lakh rupees ka salary. About 10 to 12 years. Why is this so? Why is this so? The answer lies the previous slide, right? Why is this so? Because skills. It will take time for you to build the skills over and over and over and over the period of time. Every time you will make the mistake, have it from your boss, make the mistake, have it from your boss, and then go ahead. That's the problem. And if you decide to pursue any sort of a higher education, so it can be a private certification, it can be an MBA, it can be so option number 2, 3, 4. Any of these, if you go ahead with, obviously every option has its own pros and cons. Then you might, so that this particular जो आपको blue box दिख रहा है, the blue box is, you see, is the time where you are not earning the money. For the next 2 years, let's say, or for the next 1.5, 2 years, you're not earning the money. But then once you start earning it, look at the graph. Look at the graph. These are still the conservative figures. Still the conservative figure. If you are an above average intelligent guy, this graph, the blue graph will go with double the base. So you can easily reach about a lakh of rupees salary in less than 5 years old, or probably less than 4 years. I achieved it in less than 5 years. And if I can do it, you can also do it, right? This gentleman has said, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree. I will spend first 4 hours sharpening the axe. Which means what? The axe should be sharpened so that the cutting can happen faster, as fast as possible. And today, ladies and gentlemen, in the context, how does this quote work? Is sharpening the axe is going for higher education. Understanding what is good for you, that's the most critical part. First of all, you need to understand what is the higher education important for you. Then what is important is to understand which is relevant for you, what is fit, what does fit your pocket, and so on and so forth, right? So related to this, we have an awesome stuff lined up towards the end of the session, a bonus pack which we are going to share, which Vishal will share with you, that will give you a crystal clear clarity about what's in store for you individually. Because what option I am going to give, or the option might be any, but what option is there for Vishal, what option is there for, let me see some faces. Okay, so what option open for Dheeraj, what option is open for Shan, for Kalpesh, for Vilas are different. Because your caliber is different, your intellectual capability is different, your attitude towards life is different, your dreams are different, your expectations are different, everything is different. So there are 4 directions, but which one is easy for you? We are going to help you crack that scientifically in the end of this particular session. We have a surprise for you that will be revealed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we have covered 3 pointers, and now I request Vishal to come again and help introduce to you one of the finest speakers in India and someone who has actually created CEOs. Over to you, Vishal.
So moving on to the next part, it's a very special part which is coming right now. And as Prathamesh said a few minutes ago that he is a CEO, but now the speaker who's going to come, he has created hundreds of CEOs. He has mentored kids of various companies, maybe it Reliance, maybe it of, now I'll showcase you on the chat, on the screen of the, he has trained CEO of Cipla, global CEO of Cipla, of Bajaj, of Siarams, of Natraj, of Reliance, of Sun Pharma, and a dynamic personality in the world of management education. So with round loud of applause, let's welcome Mr. Nilesh Sarawate.
After the two young people with a lot of hair on their head, and people whom we can relate to it, people who probably are able to cope up with the current generation, tech savvy and stuff like that. It's a responsibility that rests on the shoulders of not so very old guy, but definitely that someone who belongs to the previous generation. So I have a responsibility. I should not bore you. And importantly, I should be able to add a little bit of value because you come here on a Sunday evening, and I think the onus is on the trainer more than on the participants to make most out of the session. So without wasting much time, let me get into this thing. I'm going to give you some reality check. आमच्या मराठीमध्ये म्हणतात सोनार आणि कान टोचावे लागतात. People who understand take it. If you don't, it's as simple as that. Somebody from outside has to give you a mindful and a handful of advice if you were to do well in life. So my job is to give you a reality check which Google may probably fail to give you, and that's where I want you to probably bear with me, and I'm going to tell you guys your story. We have a lovely education system. I heard Prathamesh talking about the beautiful education system that we all have. And Vishal, I don't know whether he edifies the education system, whether he ridicules the education system, but he did definitely speak, in a very politically motivated manner as far as the Indian education system is concerned. So I kudos to both of you, well put and well said, well orchestrated, if I were to probably say. I was talking with you. My name is Nilesh Sarawate. It's written as Nilsar. I was born in a very small village in district Raigad. People who are aware of Konkan belt, near in Maharashtra may be aware of it. Born to a middle class family. Parents are just standard 10th pass, matric pass, 10th those days. And I was a student of typical Marathi medium Gram Panchayat school. You can imagine the quality of Gram Panchayat education 30 years back. Maybe not 40 years back. You will gauge my age, so I'm not going to get into how many years back. But basically, a few decades back, you can imagine the quality of education. Born and brought up there. Life was good, in that school because there was nothing much happening. Cricket and football were not the sports, by the way. Gilli Danda, I don't know, Gilli Danda, young generation is not aware of it. Age 21, just like you, I didn't know what to do in life. One thing was sure. I wanted to do something good with my life. I wanted my life to be counted. I had the passion, and I want each one of you to have the passion. Whether I had the patience, I don't know. I want you to have the patience. But one thing was there. Though I was not able to speak in English, not able to communicate, was lost in life, I wanted to do something which will make my parents proud about me. I never shared that with them because I'd seen them struggle. I wanted to do something. It was not about monies. It was doing something which will bring that glee on their face. And I was introduced to a guy named Professor Rane, just the way you have Prathamesh or Vishal talking with you, on whose platform they have invited me. Professor Rane guided me on a 7-step process to become a CEO. He gave me the confidence that I could be the CEO. He said it takes only 3 things: plan, passion, and patience. He told me the jungle story that I started with. And he said, इस जंगल में जीना है तो शेर की तरह जी, वरना जिया या नहीं जिया, how does it matter? Our life revolves around multinational brands. Whether you like it or not, early morning, it's a Colgate, Pepsodent or Close-Up. When you get into the washroom, it's always going to be a Dove, Lux, Liril. You probably are enjoying Pepsi, Coke, Domino's, McD's, and you also playing around with a Samsung or Oppo or a LG or a Sony. Come on, there is not a single kid in front of me who doesn't know most of these brands. Your life revolves around them. And all these brands, mind you, are operational in America too, a country whom we love to hate. Whom we love to hate. And I'm afraid all these multinational brands are operational in America. An American pattern of graduation is 12 plus 4. And as a result of this, whenever this multinational company wants to recruit anyone in a responsible managerial position, the HR policy of this multinational company categorically states, we need a minimum graduate in bracket 12 plus 4. Mind you, they don't state it openly. Because in Indian education system, 12 plus 3 is considered as graduation. But multinational companies are in business. They are in business. Business is brutal. Please understand this. Mark these words. Businesses are always brutal. They are brutal. Markets are very brutal. Nature is kind, beautiful, yet brutal. Markets are brilliant, yet brutal. Businesses are best, but brutal. Multinational companies, all these have a HR policy, 12 plus 4 as graduation. No wonder. Their competitors, which are Indianized companies, the Tatas, Birlas, Godrej, Adanis, Ambanis, LIC, HDFC, ICICI, all these companies, which are dream recruiters, their HR policy also states 12 plus 4 as graduation. No wonder you will rarely find a 12 plus 3 grad in a responsible managerial position, in a real honky-dory position, socially responsible position, respectable position in any of these companies. I'm going to take you through this simple process. It's not simple, looks simple, but a process is there, mind you, to become a CEO. You ask any of these cricketers, if you follow cricket, you ask Rohit Sharma, you ask Virat Kohli, you ask Sachin Tendulkar, you ask Vivian Richards, you ask, I don't know, you name a best possible successful cricketer, and you know what they say? Stick to the process, stick to the process. If they have cracked the conduct, if they have cracked the code, that's the process. There is a process to be a good CEO, a big CEO. Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, mind you, went through the process. I'm going to give you a process of becoming a CEO. Let's see whether you understand this. Can I have a complete pyramid shown, Prathamesh? Yeah, thank you so much. This is exactly what I'm trying to tell you. I have 150 students in front of me. I'm assuming I'm talking with 150 CEOs in making. Ladies and gentlemen, this is known as a corporate pyramid. This is known as a corporate pyramid. Just look at this for a second, just watch it. It looks like a triangle, but it's absolutely a 3D thing, but it's a pyramid. When I say this, it's very difficult. And the corporate ladder to this is very, very, very difficult. And that's the language that you will hear. So I'm not depicting and showing all that. In simple words, you have to walk the corporate pyramid like this. नीचे से शुरू होके ऊपर जाना है. नीचे से शुरू होके ऊपर जाना है. Today, each one of you, 12 plus 3, the so-called graduate in Indian context. I'm putting you at the bottom of the pyramid. You can see that graduate, BCom, BA, BAB, BBA, BSc, BBA, BMS, BMM, engineer, non-IIT, non-REC. You're lucky. I'm putting you as a part of the pyramid. Sorry, but I'm telling you this. But you're a part of the pyramid. Because in India, you will get a job being a graduate. It's very difficult if you are a 12 plus 3 to progress upwards. Very unlikely, not impossible, unlikely. Because I told you, you're not considered eligible only as a graduate or a responsible position. I told you about the international brands. So first thing first, the CEO is a double postgraduate. ये खून में जाने. The CEO is a double postgraduate. A PGDM immediately. What is the difference and all that? That one-to-one counseling, or you can ask me questions, I'll answer. But everyone should do a proper AICTE approved post-graduation in management from anywhere in the world. All institutes are good. What you do with your life is dependent on you. Please understand. You need to become 12 plus 5 plus. पहले 12 plus 5 बने. लड़ाई जीतने के लिए हाथ में तलवार होना जरूरी है. You cannot be a cook and be left on the battlefield to fight with a utensil. You need a sword in your hand. That 12 plus 5 is a sword, making you eligible to fight and survive the jungle. Survival of the strongest and fittest. जंगल में जा रहे हो तो 12 जंगल में 12 plus 3 करके नहीं जाना है, 12 plus 5 करके, ताकि मल्टीनेशनल कंपनी आपको एलिजिबल समझे एज अ ग्रेजुएट. ये बात को समझिए. सो फर्स्ट स्टेप 1 यूजीसी आईआईसीटी एमबीए पीजीडीएम फ्रॉम बॉम्बे. स्पेशलाइजेशंस होती है मार्केटिंग, फाइनेंस, ह्यूमन रिसोर्स. वो क्या है वो आप समझ लो, ज्यादा उसमें पढ़ नहीं रहा हूं. कम व्हाट में इन बॉम्बे यू विल गेट अ जूनियर मैनेजमेंट जॉब. किसी को 25,000 की सैलरी मिलेगी, किसी को 40, किसी को 50, किसी को 70,000, किसी को 1 लाख. वो इधर लिखा हुआ है. You will reach age 23, 24, that range, not beyond that. After your first PGDM, MBA, junior management at age 23 or 24, not beyond 24. Assuming most of you. That is junior management. You will progress. 3, 4, 5 साल नौकरी करोगे. 2 साल से लेके 6 साल तक. कितना? 2 साल से लेके 6 साल तक नौकरी करोगे. 2 साल मिनिमम. After your first. But ये 2 से 6 साल में करोगे प्रोफाइल बिल्डिंग प्रोसेस. तो होता क्या है उसमें? हाथ में 5 उंगलियां तो 5 चीजें होती है. एक है योर क्वालिटी ऑफ जॉब, द स्किल सेट्स दैट यू नीड टू बिल्ड ऑन टू योर स्किल सेट्स. ये तुम्हारा अंगूठा है, ये तुम है, ये एटीट्यूड, स्किल्स, नॉलेज जो भी है आपके पास, ये है पहला. क्वालिटी ऑफ द वर्क प्रोफाइल, द क्वालिटी ऑफ द एक्सपीरियंस दैट यू बिल्ड, क्वालिटी ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस. दूसरा, it is all about giving it back to the society, doing something in the interest of humanity, in the interest of global warming, temperature, ethics, ये वो उसका पूरा लिटरेचर रहता है, उसका पूरा स्क्रिप्ट और हर एक उंगली का एक प्रोसेस है. थर्ड थिंग is all about, understanding the globe at large, trying to probably, reach out to the world with the help of a research paper or a publication or a patent or an IPR. 2 से 6 साल में अगर दिल पे लो 100% हो जाए. इसको कहते हैं प्रोफाइल बिल्डिंग फेज. चौथी चीज है अंडरस्टैंडिंग द वर्ल्ड फ्रॉम अ पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ लैंग्वेजेस, कल्चर्स, इमर्शंस एंड स्टफ लाइक दैट. मतलब एक्सपोजर, कहीं बाहर जाके आओ, बाहर पढ़ो, बाहर इमर्शन करो, बाहर इंटरव्यू. पांचवी चीज है इज बिल्डिंग ऑन टू योर एप्टीट्यूड, प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर जीमैट. 5 ही चीजें होती है. जिसको भी इसमें ज्यादा सखोल समझना है, 1-to-1 काउंसलिंग चाहिए, प्रोवाइड किया जाएगा बाद में, आज नहीं. Point is, in between 2 to 6 years, you are working on your profile. It's known as the profile building phase. And that's the time when you write GMAT or you apply directly for an advanced management program. But I'll tell you honestly, Indians don't know where these programs are. The best management program, minimum age 26. Maximum age 42. 26 से 42 साल की उम्र में आपको ये बोला. हर बच्चा अलग है, हर बच्चे की मुश्किलें अलग है, हर बच्चे का करियर प्रोफाइल अलग है, हर बच्चे का पर्सनल लाइफ अलग है, हर बच्चे का प्रोफाइल बिल्डिंग अलग है, हर बच्चे का पैशन अलग है, हर बच्चे का फाइनेंशियल कैपेसिटी अलग है, हर बच्चे के चैलेंजेस अलग है, प्रॉब्लम्स अलग है, अपॉर्चुनिटीज अलग है, प्रायोरिटीज अलग है. बिटवीन एज 26 टू एज 42, you will look at going into an advanced management program. Harvard, Wharton, Stanford, Kellogg, LBS, NUS, Nanyang, SIBS, AIM, Australian Graduate School of Management, Elbit Business School, SASIN, बहुत सारे इंस्टीट्यूट से. 90% of Indians have not heard about them. 99% of Indians don't know about them. That is what has to be seeded in today, because the process is a 2 to 6 years process. In isme, that is a path of a CEO. This is the lion in making. This is the CEO in making. Making of a CEO means you need to feel for a CEO, live like a CEO, think like a CEO, behave like a CEO. For that, you need to know a CEO. Make a point. The point that I'm trying to make today, I may have called you a rabbit and deer in making, but I'm also trying to give you a process to transform into the lion or lionesses. All it takes is a plan, a bit of passion, and more than that, some amount of patience. Why? Because in this process of transformation, ladies and gentlemen, mind you, it's not going to be an absence of problems. It's going to be in spite, despite problems and obstacles. Success will come in presence of problems, not in absence of problems. For that, you need patience. प्लान दिया है, पैशन और पेशेंस, जिंदगी बदल जाएगी. शायद 10-15 साल later, some of you would be making your hair, looking at a mirror, and you would say, we attended that session on a Sunday evening. We didn't expect what's going to happen, but we did. We're given a plan and we followed the plan, and we are on the path of transforming ourselves into a CEO of the future. Ladies and gentlemen, you would have helped me, and I'm selfish, to pay a little bit of fees to Professor Rane, who guided me to be a CEO, talking to budding CEOs today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. I'm ready to take all the questions at the end of the session.
Enjoyed. So students, how was it? Was it thrilling? Did we keep our promise? Did you guys enjoy it? Come on, quickly on the chat. Last 5 minutes we have, and one surprise for each one of you. And that's how we want to present right now, is for you to develop your attitude, for you to develop your skill, for you to develop knowledge. And that can only come, as Nilesh rightly said, from training, from education, which we would like to provide you. Some of you might say, sir, graduation है, मुझे MBA करना है, but finance में करूँ के, marketing में करूँ के, HR में करूँ. Some of you might say, sir, मैं confused हूँ, MBA करूँ या ना करूँ. Some of you might say, sir, should I go for CFA? Should I go for some certification? What should I do? There'll be some set of students, sir, मैं engineering background से हूँ, क्या कर सकता हूँ मैं? मुझे नहीं पता. So all that answers we would be giving, and for that you need to ask, and you need to be a part of this ask, which is attitude, skills, and knowledge. So what's there in store for you for consecutive 7 days back to back on the next slide, which is called Smart Graduation Program. 5 days, 10+ training hours, personalized career counseling with a certificate. And you would be meeting Nilesh sir, you would be meeting myself. I'll be taking one session on finance because that's the only thing I know. And Prathamesh will be taking few sessions and couple of more speakers. So the first topic which we'll be covering is careers in marketing and sales. Sir, मैं तो accounts background से आया हूँ तो मैं finance ही करूँगा. Completely wrong. I want you to explore this dish. It's like tasting it for the first time. Second is careers in banking, careers in finance. Sir, I want to get into banking. Is it possible? I will be talking 3 hours only about what is finance, what is stock market, what is derivative, what are swaps, what are options, what are futures, Ukraine, Russia का financial impact क्या है, everything. That would be covered in careers in banking and finance. Third, some of you might say, sir, I want to be an HR of the company. Do we have HR, Prathamesh? Can we see the next slide? Yes. Careers in human resource management. So if you're saying what are the different careers, so you'd be meeting one HR who would be talking about HR में कौन से career है. Careers in digital marketing. Some of you might say, sir, digital marketing करना है, digital marketing. I want to get into analytics. I want to get into business analytics. How can I do it? We'll be talking about this as well. All these are separate sessions span across a week, which is your next week. The next is special session for career transformation. This is more for if you are confused, if you want to get inspired, if you want to know some more stories, more case studies, we would be covering in this. Last but not the least, and the most important thing, which I think sir also mentioned, which is one-on-one counseling scheduled with one of our counselors. शायद मैं अभी आपको पूछूं, डाउट पूछना है, आप सोचो सर मैं डाउट पूछूंगा तो वो क्या सोचेगा, वो क्या सोचेगी, सर क्या सोचेंगे. But when it comes to one-on-one, I want you guys to open up with hundreds of questions. You can get your parents along, you can get your siblings around, you can get your elder brothers around, and we would be happy to counsel you. So all this package, which is coming next week, every day from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it starts on 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 June, evening 7:30 to 9:30. That is for youth. And the fees, which is flashing on your free screen, is just 99 rupees. You might say, sir, आप शायद टाइपो मिस्टेक है, आपने 9,999 का आपने 99 लिख दिया, आपने शायद सर 29 नहीं लिख. But there is no typo error. It is 99. And 99 से ना मेरा घर बनने वाला है, ना आपको घर बेचना पड़ने वाला है. So it's a commitment fee which we want, and we want only students who are serious about their careers.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it was so pleasure interacting with you. Across the India, people have come down. It started with 180 people. Gradually, people have realized that what they want and what they don't. I really appreciate the 100 remaining people because they have done a massive, taken a good step towards getting clarity about what they are looking at. And I'm sure we will try our level best to deliver on your promises. Ladies and gentlemen, it was awesome interacting with you. This is Prathamesh Veling signing off. Until we meet next.